there, how's everybody doing? Sergio Sais here with my partner Sam Yin for the Real Estate Hedgehog podcast. Hope everybody's doing well. We're getting ready to go into the holiday season. Just got through with Halloween, which I know is a favorite of a lot of people. And but you know what? Thanksgiving and Christmas are just around the corner. They're going to come by real fast. So Sam, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Halloween was yesterday, and for the audience, I didn't shave my head for Halloween, but I had it's a cultural shaving. My mom passed, and I'm good with it. We did some ceremonies. Part of Buddhism and being Cambodian, I had to become a monk, and so that's why everything was shaved off. That's it. I didn't want to scare anybody watching.
Well, I know tough times, it's sad, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that you're still able to join us. I know your mom she had moved along in years. She wasn't like, she had a good long life, right?
She did, and she lived with me for about 2.5 years. These last 2.5 years, I've been taking care of her in my house. Obviously it got tougher for her the last several months, starting in this year. So I think it's just a natural progression, the cycle of life, and I'm good with it.
Excellent. No, I appreciate that. And I'm glad that we were able to get together to have a nice little discussion about it. And today I was thinking that what I'd like to talk a little bit about is the advantages of real estate as an investment vehicle, let's say, as compared to just investing in the stock market. What would be one? Just let's start off with one. Let's talk about one advantage, and then we'll build on that you see, Sam, of having investing in real estate over investing, let's say, in the stock market.
So I think the one biggest advantage I see real estate has over the stock market is leverage. You can leverage other people's money to invest in an asset that you will own. So it's usually either a 1 to 5 leverage, or if you start off with that real estate being your primary residence, you might even be able to get 95% of it funded by the bank or a lender. So that's the biggest advantage I see in real estate versus stocks.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because that's huge, really, if you think about it. So you buy a piece of property where maybe, let's just say for argument's sake, you do have to put 20% down, right? So that means that the bank, in this case, which is other people's money, is giving you 80% investment, right? So that allows you to be able to get so let's just say, let's keep the numbers simple and easy right now. Let's say you have, I'm going to say $100,000 as a down payment, because it's a nice round number, right? Could be less, but 100,000. And that means that you could probably buy something in the neighborhood of $500,000 to $600,000, somewhere in there, right? And so what that allows you to do then is to control an asset that's worth over $500,000 with just 20% down. So that's the first big advantage, that leverage part of it, right? And then here's the other thing that I'd like you to talk a little bit about, that when that asset increases in value, let's say by, 4%, 5%, 6%, 8%, if you're in Southern California, out of control percent, but it goes, when it increases in value, it increases on what number?
It increases on the entire assessed value. So even though you only have $100,000 in the deal, if the deal is $500,000 and it went up by 4%, well, it's $20,000 and it's yours. That valuation belongs to you because it's 4% of the entire $500,000. But essentially, what you put out of your pocket was $100,000. So it's technically a 20% return, right? That's incredible. And
that's huge.
On average, through natural appreciation and through natural inflation, that's the going rate of real estate trajectory over time.
Right. No, absolutely. So I hope that people didn't miss that. And I'd like to just repeat it for them. So you buy a piece of property, you invest $100,000. You said that the appreciation is on the entire amount, not on the 100,000, 500,000. So again, just to make it easy for me, let's just say it goes up by 5%. So 5% of 500,000 is $25,000, right?
Yeah.
And yet you only put in 100,000. So you've got $25,000 that is really yours because that's gone up in equity. And if you divide 25,000 into 100,000 to get your return on investment, that would be a 25% return on your money.
Correct. Now, conversely, if it was stocks and you went up 5% on your $100,000 stock investment, all you got was $5,000.
That's huge. Again, the advantage of leverage. You know what? I think if we just stopped right there,
Yeah.
we've done our job. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's so many other advantages. And let's
yeah.
cover a couple of other ones. So the one that I like to talk to people about is how if it's an investment, you buy a piece of property as an investment, you're going to rent it out. So again, you've gotten money from the bank, other people's money, and they lend it to you at a particular interest rate. And the beauty of this is that because you're renting out the property, you're collecting rents, and it's other people, again, a form of other people's money that are paying that mortgage payment, right?
Correct.
So is that not another form of leverage also?
Oh, yeah. You're leveraging someone else's time and energy to pay down your loan that you've leveraged from someone else. And all you're doing is you're skimming a little bit off the top, which is your profits as cash flow.
Okay, and that's actually a separate part too, because now there's cash flow. Now cash flow can be positive, it can be break even, and it could actually be a negative cash flow too.
Yeah.
But if you've done this, if you've invested wisely because you know your real estate markets, and you can get a positive cash flow, and let's just be, let's not be greedy here. Let's say again, a nice simple 5% return on your investment there on the cash flow, right? So if you were investing in a, let's say, a triplex, right? And each property, each unit is going out for, let's just say, $800. And I'm not going to go through all the numbers I'm not going to crunch all the numbers, but I can see where if you're collecting $2,400 a month on rent, and when everything is said and done, even if you're just got on the positive side by, let's say, $150 to $200, again, that's huge because not only is your mortgage getting paid down, but you're actually putting a little extra in your pocket, right?
Oh, yeah. And remember this, when your mortgage is getting paid down, that adds to the value because you owe less, and that's your money. So when people are paying down the mortgage, they're actually paying into your savings piggy bank in that property.
Absolutely. And again, another form of leverage. So I think that you started off with like the perfect way to start off, where leverage is the biggest advantage of that. Okay, so I want to touch, and then of course there's the appreciation, which we kind of touched on that already. But I want to talk about another. Let's talk about write-offs. Yes. So with property, with real estate, you get to write off all of your expenses, right?
Correct. Anything associated with maintaining that business or that rental, it's written off against your income.
Right. So whether it's, I'm not even talking about the mortgage right now, but I'm talking about property taxes. I'm talking about utilities. I'm talking about repairs, maintenance. What else?
Insurance. Yeah. House calls, everything you can think of, even your travel to and from. If you keep a ledger, a realistic ledger, you can write all that off as well.
All of that. So now you're reducing your taxable income when you do that. Another huge advantage. And again, I say another form of leveraging. But the other thing I wanted to touch on, which I think sometimes it's a little difficult to explain, and that's this concept of depreciation. Mm-hmm. Can you touch a little bit on that, Sam?
So depreciation, in layman's terms, is the wear and tear on the improvement of that property, meaning the structure.
Right.
So it's not something that you have control of. It is a set formula created by the IRS. Mm-hmm. So whether you like it or not, you're going to use it, right?
Right.
But here's the magic. You've just touched on the write-offs against your income. That depreciation is written off against that too. So it's like another piece of magic. Let's just say we go back to that that $500,000 example. And let's just say of that $500,000, 400,000 of it is the valuation given to the structure and 100,000 to the land. Well, that 400,000 is divided by 27.5 per the IRS rules. You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Whatever that number comes out to be, which I don't know, it might be around 14,000 something per, whatever the case may be. That's going to be what you write off against your income.
Right. Let me do a little quick math. 27.5, you said, right?
Yeah. So 400,000 divided by 27.5.
So $14,545.
So I was close. I was close.
So again, the cool thing about that is that you don't have to do anything, right? You don't have to spend money. You don't have to do anything else to deduct that amount from your rental income, from that, from their income. And you've already reduced your the income amount by your, the cost of your expenses. And then on top of that, you get another in this case, another 14,500 and change that you get to reduce that income by. So what's
partner, based on the example that you kind of threw out there, you've already zeroed out your income and probably turned out to be a negative tax year on paper, even though you're getting cash flow. Think about it. Your insurance, your taxes on a $500,000 property or purchase, right? 1.25% of that. Your repairs, your management, all that stuff, your utilities, plus 14,500. And if you're making about $20,000, $30,000 a year of gross income of this, I think you've just written it all off. You don't have to pay any taxes.
And again, we're just going to be very low numbers here. Like I said, let's say you're making $200 a month on your positive cash flow, right?
Yeah.
So that means that you would have had about $2,400, $2,400, and you pay, because of that depreciation, especially because of that, you pay zero taxes on that $2,400. Right now, that is crazy. So right now, for all of us guys that go out there and work 9 to 5 and collect a W-2, and you work some extra overtime, and let's say you make an extra $2,000 or $3,000 in the overtime during the course of the year, Uncle Sam is going to take somewhere between 30 and maybe 40% of that.
Yeah.
With real estate, you can make that same amount of money very easily, another 2,400 to 3,000 on positive cash flow, and you basically pay zero taxes on that money. That's pretty great. Yeah.
It is. And conversely, going back to comparing it to stocks, there is no depreciation in stocks. There are really no write-offs in stocks. Unless you have a dividend yielding stock, which pays you either quarterly or annually or semi-annually, there is no cash flow, right? But here's the magic of cash flow with real estate. You can control it with rental increases. You don't have control over cash flow in a stock because the board of directors of whoever the stock company is, they make the decisions, for you or on your behalf, in essence, for the benefit of their shareholders. And obviously, the person who holds the most shares has the most influence in the direction the company's going to go. Right.
So again, I think we touched on, one other thing I want to touch on before we close out, and that's the ability to exchange a property that you buy for a bigger property.
That's the biggest. That is the biggest positive of all of them, because you're talking about realizing the value, the money. So with stocks, when the time comes, a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, you want to take that money out, and let's say you want to reinvest it into something else, you have to pay taxes on that money and then buy with whatever's left over. That's what you got to do. With real estate, if you want to take it out and, let's say, buy something else, then the entire new value of that real estate can be transferred over to something else. On top of that, it gets leveraged again. That's the magic of leverage. So go back to your original number. let's just say you put $100,000 down on a $500,000 home, and let's just say 5-10 years later, it's worth $1 million. Not unheard of, pretty common these days, right? Because everything's going on. Yeah. Well, that extra $500,000 in value or gains in equity, on top of the $100,000 that you had in it, you now have $600,000. I'm not even talking about the pay down. We'll just count that as the cost of transaction, right?
Sure.
So now you take that $600,000, and that was 20%. Think about it. That was 20% of something else. Where are we at? You're looking at about what? Almost $3 million.
Yeah.
Right? A couple of $1 million worth of a property you can purchase using that because you exchanged it into a bigger purchase because you re-leveraged more money.
Right.
So now if it goes up 5% per year as it appreciates, you've got $3 million appreciating at 5% per year. That's $150,000 a year in your pocket doing nothing but just counting appreciation. You can't do that with stocks. So I think that's the magic. And then there's going to be the counter argument. Well, what if I just want to cash out? Well, simple.
No.
If you cash out stocks, you're going to pay the gains. If you cash out real estate, you'll pay the gains, but there are other tax structures available to mitigate how much gains you're going to pay, and you may end up keeping quite a bit more.
So I just want to go back real quickly to that exchange process. It's called the 1031 exchange, and there are very specific rules on what you have to do to do the 1031 exchange, but those are easily learned. It's like anything else. But again, I want to just repeat kind of like what you were talking about, that when you exchange, you use property profit that you have plus any money that you come in, and you can take that whole amount without getting taxed on it first, and then leverage it up to that next size property, and you're deferring those taxes for a future date. So
correct.
The bottom line is nobody gets away with not paying taxes, at some point in time, somebody, but you could just do this over and over and over again. And maybe the taxes get paid by your great grandson, but they don't have to get paid by us, right? Because it just gets passed down. So again, another wonderful way of using leverage in real estate that really isn't available in at least for the average man, isn't available in the stock market world. I'm sure that the very big money folks, they've got ways of leveraging money in the stock market. But for the everyday Joe like you and me, the real estate vehicle is just a great vehicle that allows you to leverage money in so many different ways that puts real money, real cash into your pockets.
Well, I don't want the audience to think that we've overlooked the fact that with stocks, it's a lot more passive than real estate.
That is true.
So that's the advantage of stocks. You set it and forget it if it's a long-term thing. But if you really want to build quick money with stocks, it's almost as active or even more active and stressful than real estate, because now you're talking about day-to-day trading. That's the only way to meet what real estate can do for you.
Right. And again, that's not to say that people don't make money in the stock market. I mean, I've made money in the stock market. It's just that I didn't have any of the tax advantages or any of the leveraged advantages that real estate has provided for me with my real estate investments. Excellent. Any last words you want to just give to our audience before we sign off?
I say, like anything else, do your research. We're not professional stockbrokers or anything like that. We do invest in real estate. This is a real estate podcast. It's a real estate recording. It's real estate, trended towards. And so therefore, we're going to have a bias, but we're telling you these biases because we've done it. We've experienced it. We have taken the gains from it. So therefore, we're not just talking from books or mumbo jumbo. We've done it ourselves.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sam. Take care of yourself, and we'll be seeing you next time. Okay.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys next time.
Okay. Bye.